Hello. So we got another video for today. So this video is gonna be a little bit weird. My VOD recording was scuffed, so instead I started it. This is starting at Krug's, this VOD, right? So we're deep into it, right? Now, for this video, I started the oops, I closed my inking app. 1 second. So for this video, I ended up hitting a Garen, so it's gonna be a little bit aggressive right at the start here. I'm playing the Garen reroll line, right? So if you look at it, I have Storied Champion. Now, I know I already have a video on my YouTube channel where I played Storied Champion. Knowing that in this video, I was playing this a little bit of a different line, so I felt like it was still useful to post. When you're playing Storied Champion, there are some stats to look at in general that kind of illustrate some of the things with it. We'll watch this roll down because I'm one off the Garen. I don't click it fast enough, which is maybe a folly of later in the game that you will see that I have some struggles. I also don't have necessarily the best items for Garen, but I did start with a cape. I started with a cape and a Titans, right? And Titans is one of the best items on Garen for Garen reroll, right? So if we look, Storied Champion, Garen, 3-star, right? So I'm going to show you some stats. We'll look at the Augment first, then we'll talk about the other thing. But I'll show you the stats in like 1 or 2 rounds. We'll just ease into the video. Also, thank you for all the subs on my YouTube. We are almost 40 subs away from RP giveaway. I'll probably make it like, I don't know, like enough to buy a little legend. So either like 750 or 1,000, because I feel kind of like grimy if I don't do the bare minimum of that. But anyway, Storied Champion, Garen just got buffed, and Storied Champion is okay, but it is very, very, very situational. When I say very, very, very situational, you have to start with at least 2 or 3 Garens, and then take Storied Champions. Storied Champions will give you a free 2-star Garen. You need to hit this Garen early. You need to tempo early, and you also need to have enough gold. In a lot of cases, you don't win a lobby with it. It's not like a winning lobby situation. You can top 4 fairly easily because you have a lot of good tempo and you punish a lot of people that are like a bit lost and dizzy with their board. But in most situations, this is not a good augment to take. I would not hard force it. There are some other things like the Yorick one, the Yorick hero augment, the Kabuko one. Like some of them are really like easily forceable because of how strong the units are. This Garen does not get it done. It is not very strong. Now, it looks strong. It looks broken. Look, he's going infinite. It's crazy. The problem with it is that you just don't have the resources to hit a lot of the good backline units, right? If you think about vertical story weavers, there's not like a good backline unit that you can use to carry. Like, who are you carrying? Like, Zyra, right? It's like very difficult. Anyways, the other thing I want to point out is that something that happened that really bad this game is that Darius showed up. And after I already hit my Garen, Darius now makes it so that it rotates, like you can reroll the slots on your bench. So a lot of people could start hitting upgrades, like even if they're not going for reroll, they can just natural upgrades to their units. So I lose a lot of my tempo. So that also hurts my average placement in this game. I still end up top 4ing because I think the line is good from a good spot. I have my Garen early. It was almost guaranteed. So it's very good. Now, for those of you that stuck around for the last couple minutes, it's time to look at the stats. So if I put in Garen 3 with Storied Champion, the average is like a 4.86. That's like worse than average. I think a 4.5 is a 50-50, and if you look at the top 4 percentage, it's like a 43. It is not that good, and the win percentage is very low. It is not a good augment to take. The reason I wanted to take it was because it's fun. And I think sometimes you got to treat yourself with a fun game or a simple game where you have like a very clear game plan from the beginning that can make things a little bit easier on you, right? If you look at the average placement, the biggest ones are all 5 costs, right? Or like Lee Sin, like a Galio, like all of these are super expensive, right? And if you look, as soon as you get past like the 4 costs, like even like Kaisa, who's supposed to be broken, you start to get into plus delta. Right, like playing it with like a Zyra, a Mumu, a Gnar, it makes your placement even worse. A Zoe, a Sivir is like plus 48, a Jax, right? The only units that really bring down the placement and make this average in the higher numbers is if you can make it to level 9. right? Because then you have a lot of options open with quality units. In terms of traits, there's 2 lines, right? So last time I played it, I showed you vertical story weaver, right? If I show you in terms of placement, it's like obviously the duelist and exalted are really good, because if you have like the one where Garen is exalted, it fits in really nicely. A lot of these are like very situational. The main ones I want to highlight is 7 story weaver, because 7 story weaver is like a main line that you would think about. So it's like you either go with a spat or you get an Irelia and you go and you play 7 story weaver, and that way your Kale is your main backline carry. So you have like a giga frontline unit in the sense of Garen, and you have a backline unit which is Kale. The other line that is sometimes slept upon, it doesn't fit in with that line, is the 6 warden line, right? The 6 warden line, you just play vertical wardens with the Garen. So last time I played the line, I played it with 7 story weaver. I believe I made it to 7 story weaver because I got a spat and I was able to top 4 like that, right? Because if you look, it averages like a 4.3, so now you're like on average within a top 4. The easier line that you can also go for is 6 warden. You just make like a giga front line, and it's really hard to fit in damage in this case, because if you're playing 6 warden and you want to play like story weaver as well, you run into the problem with the backline not doing as much damage, right? Because you just don't have the space for like the extra backline units, and you're kind of relying on Kale. But either way, those are the main things I wanted to show. Now we'll go back to the game. So this variation, it's different from the last time I played it on this channel, in that I am playing it now with a warden setup, right? So as you can see, I have 3 story weaver, 4 warden. I'm trying to level for more wardens. Now this Darius does fuck all for me. It does absolutely nothing. I do not need the Darius, and all the Darius does is it helps the rest of the people hit their boards, which erodes a lot of my tempo, right? Now I might lose a couple fights because my Garen won't suffice, because it's only a 2 item Garen, right? Oh, I forgot to show you Bis Garen items. We should also look at that. So in terms of the stats, the items that are best on it. Oh, Hodge is good now. Is this patch? Oh, okay. I checked yesterday. Yesterday it said it was BT Titans. Oh, I guess it fixed itself. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So, back when I first played this, it was Bloodthirster Titan Sterix. Now it's Hodge Titans Sterix, it looks like, as the best items, right? Like if I put like Hodge. Yeah, or Titan's Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster is bad if you have Hodge already, obviously. Okay, so it did change a little bit. When I was playing it yesterday, it's new patch, so obviously, like, if you look, like, some of them have really small sample sizes, so it's very difficult. I saw that it was Titan's Bloodthirster, and then Dragon Claw was really good, but there wasn't stats on the other items besides these ones being plus Delta. So now we know. Sterix used to be good, but then yesterday it said it was bad, so I thought something changed. So, yeah. So we go back to this game. Typically when you're rolling for Garen, you want to roll for other 1 costs. Like if you get like a Jax or a Sivir, it helps. Like, you know, obviously you have Sivir 3. I'm kind of playing towards Kale carry at this point, just because I don't have any other carry besides that. On my item drop, so from neutrals, this is 4-1, so right after the neutral round, I just slammed a Adaptive Helm. Right, Adaptive Helm isn't in the stats, but I didn't have another item to make, and it's super greedy to not make an item for this Garen, because I'm going to start losing a lot of fights, right? I'm already not win streaking, right? Because a lot of people have strong boards all out of nowhere, right? And the strong boards also help because, look, these guys that didn't reroll Garen that have more econ, they're using the Darius to reroll. Like, this guy's rerolling 5 costs. You know what I mean? And 4 costs. Like, I'm starting to try and find a Galio. But like this Darius is such a grief if you're like, it's really good if you're Lola. It's really good if you're like going for a reroll because it helps you with the reroll. But an underestimated thing with the Darius encounter, like this Darius encounter is like a play on something that was in set 10 or set 9. In set 9 there was like an augment that you can pick that was like called Pandora's Bench. And what it would do is it would basically Darius thing for the entire game. And usually you picked it for reroll, but you also would use it to hit, like if you have like, you know, a guaranteed, like if I hit this 5-star, it's very important, right? Like think like Porcelain with Lysandra or like Faded with a set, right? It's like sometimes like rolling into those 5 costs, giga spike your board because that's like the hard part of your comp is getting to like the 5 cost. But that's an underrated thing, or getting to the 4 cost as well. So you can reroll those as well on the bench. So there's like a certain strategy. And then if you're rerolling, what you do is just upgrade your units. right? You just like, so let's say you're doing a 2-cost reroll. You just buy every 2-cost that you see. You make the 2-cost pair. So let's say like you see like in your shop, there's like 3 Nikos, but you need a Nar 3. You buy the Nikos. A Nico 2 on the bench rerolls into a Nar 2, right? Because they keep their star level. So you just upgrade as many 2-costs you can, shove them on the bench, and then as they hit the units you want, it's fine. This guy was silly. I forget what it, but this guy didn't hit yet. But I think he didn't use Pandora's right away because he was like cluttered mind. There were 2 people contesting Ghostly, which worked out to my benefit. I think that's a lot of the reason why I top forward, even though I don't have like the greatest of boards. The reason is just because they were contesting each other, it just ran into a situation where neither of them hit even with the Pandora's bench. So that was pretty cool. But anyways, something that's always really important to understand is that you can only take this in a certain place, right? I think I said the same thing in my other video because I was playing it. That one had live commentary and I was playing the Story Weaver variation. In this case, I'm trying out the Warden variation because I heard that it was good or equally as good, and in the stats, it shows that it's good. The Warden variation, it's very easy to hit 6 Warden because they're all like low level units, right? Like you can hit 6 Warden, all you need is a Nautilus, right? And if you don't hit the Nautilus, you can hit a set, but you don't need like, it's not like 6 Warden you need a guaranteed, you need to hit the 5-star, the 5 cost. So it's like you have some options, right? Now this match is kind of funny because if you look at the Kaisa, the Garen just doesn't take damage for a while. I think I still end up losing this because I just don't have enough damage, right? So as you can see, the Garen's trying his best, but the rest of my board is dead. And I kind of just don't. Oh, I might win actually. Maybe I win. Fuck it, I win. I'm down. Yeah, look at my Garen. He's healing more than. I have so much HP and it's a Kaisa 1. So I end up winning this. It's so funny. I think people see clips like this and then they think Garen's broken, but this was just very situational. I'm still in a really not the greatest of spots because if you look at my econ, I'm still like very low level as well, right? I'm like level 7 on stage 4. That's the problem with rolling for 1 cost. It's like if you don't natural a bunch of the copies, so even there, like I rolled pretty deep for my Garen and I didn't win streak the entirety of the stages because other people hit their boards. You really want to win streak like all of stage 2 and all of stage 3 because if you don't win streak, you don't have enough money to like restabilize to hit like level 8, level 9, right? And when you think about like Kog'Maw reroll, for example, Kog'Maw reroll, it goes bot for a lot of the time. The only times it goes like really like Giga first is if you can make it to 9, because if you can make it to 9, you can play like 7 mythic with the Kog'Maw reroll, then it's like broken, right? Or if you can play like 5 mythic with like a Wei and other legendaries, it's like broken, right? But in a lot of cases it just sucks if you just don't hit them early enough. Here I'm dropping out of the Wardens because I'm thinking like I've identified that I need more damage, so I just go double blue Kale. Typically you want to hit triple blue Kale. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, the augments, as you can see, there was no augment on 4-2. The reason is that the augments are shuffled. The augments are shuffled because it was a Lilia encounter at the start of the game. So the whole game is a bit wacky. So like for example, like I'm not spiking until like stage 5 because there's like another augment that I have to hit. So I'm really relying on my units instead of like getting augments. But yeah, I dropped the Wardens. I dropped 1 Warden because I figured it's probably better just to have blue Kale damage, and then I'll level for 4 Warden and or 6 Warden when I hit it. But I'm kind of holding these Wardens just to see. Is it ever tempo level here? I should level here if because I'm preserving a streak, right? It's a 5 streak if I win, because I won out all of stage 4 somehow. So I think that might be my problem here, is that I don't level. I should level guaranteed here, right? But I just don't. I'm holding the Kaisa because I'm thinking to myself, maybe I just play Kaisa carry. Kaisa carry doesn't fit in very well with this board because it could fit in. Basically, I would just play Kaisa and 2 trick shot, but I don't have Kaisa items. Is my problem. So here I should have leveled. I think this might end up being a close fight. And if it is, then it's definitely my fault. The reason you level here is that even though it breaks your econ and you would want to save your econ for like the dudes, it's like the econ that you lose leveling you would earn in the streaking, right? And it takes a lot of time to like evaluate the board to like figure out if it's actually worth it. But if I had 1 extra Warden here, I'm pretty sure I win, right? because 1 extra warden, my front line lives a little bit longer, and it came down to like a 1 unit loss. I'm pretty sure 4 warden here wins that fight. Just because having everything live a little bit longer and my Garen taking like an extra 10% less damage, I'm pretty sure we win out that fight. So what I mean to say is, like, I would have lost like 5 gold, and I lost 5 gold anyways, pretty much, because I didn't streak. So it works out of the same difference, except the reason that the leveling makes more sense is because if I won that fight, I would also save HP. The whole lobby is kind of in disarray. Everything's a bit messy this game because of the Lily encounter, so just keep that in mind. But anyways, the Augment is after Carousel as well here, so it's gonna be a little bit of a delay. But I should level here for something. I'm trying to build my items. I don't really have Shred, or I have Anti-Heal. There's no Shred component, and I didn't get dropped any Kaisa items, right? Because my big idea was I was just gonna play. I can drop down to 3 Story Weaver, and then I could have played Kaisa carry because Kaisa is just really strong. Here I just have Warden in, I have Arcanist in. It's good enough. I'm putting items on this Riven because I'm probably gonna drop and sell and just play 6 Warden, and I'll sell the Riven. So I want to make a redemption and frontline items, just because I don't have any backline items to make. I could make like AP backline items and play like Zoe carry, which is probably a play. You could, I think, like, but that's more like the Story Weaver variation, and I was really committed to playing the Warden variation. Just because I wanted to do something different for my YouTube, right? The Warden variation is just play 6 Warden, right? So that's what I just really wanted to do. Also, how did I win that fight? Did I win that fight? What the fuck? How did everything die? Oh, I think my video skipped. Am I crazy? Ah, whatever. I might have accidentally clicked my mouse. So I'm holding like 2 Kaisas just because, like, fuck it. Maybe I play Kaisa. The plan still is alive. But I do want to play like the Warden variation. So I want to drop like this and this, right? Or like this and this, and just play like 2 extra Warden. Ideally you make it to 9 to play 6 Warden, but I might not make it to 9. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, now, as you can see, I've fallen off very hard because I just don't have enough damage, and this Garen is not tanky enough. Because this Garen is like a mix between doing damage and like tanking, and he's just not doing enough, right? He's not tanking enough, and other people like this guy, like everybody's just playing Kaisa. Like they nerfed Kaisa now in the B patch, and thank God. I don't know what happened, but it's like I don't understand how everybody hits, because whenever I play like towards a Kaisa or like a thing, I like miss one of the units. Like I don't hit the Zaya, or I'm stuck on Kaisa 1. But it's like every time these people, like, they all hit Kaisa. But I think it's just like a lobby dependent thing, right? Like if everybody's Giga greeting, then it becomes kind of fucked. Anyways, I find the Set. Set's good because Set can work as like an additional carry. I lose the Sivir here because I figure that Zoe just does more damage than the Sivir. And I don't have like Sivir 3, right? And I'm starting to stack Set. So Set, if you hit it early, I know it's like 5-3, the game's kind of like should be over soon. It doesn't feel like it's very early, but relative to like the lobby, the game's kind of early because we haven't even had our 3rd augment yet, right? So like, you know, Set has time to stack. I just triple stack him with the, usually want to put like, you know, like something like Asterix or like these like tanky, like destructive frontline melee items on a Set so that he actually does like shit ton of damage. I just put triple tank on him because it's like, yeah, these are the items I have. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do, right? Yeah, this guy's just way stronger. He's level 9, Kaisa board. But we just played a Kaisa board, but this guy has Kaisa 2, Zaya 2. I have 2 Kaisas on bench, and there's like 3 Kaisa players in the lobby. And this guy has Kaisa 2, Zaya 2, level 9, like fucking every forecast upgraded as well. It's like, what the fuck? Here there's a Kaisa. This would give me Kaisa 2, which could give me a bunch of damage, right? I just don't have Kaisa items. It also has a faded emblem. I didn't take it because I think that it's a little bit difficult to fit in the last faded if I'm not level 9. But I could have played maybe like a faded Arcanist build, and the extra AP is really good for Garen because it helps him to heal. It gives him more HP. And now we have the final augment of the game at stage 5-5. I hit a Story Weaver crest, so I figure like even if I level, I can play 5 Story Weaver, right? I can play 6 Warden, 5 Story Weaver on level 9, which seems pretty strong. So I just want to level to 9 here to fit in the Story Weaver. So I look at my board, and I think I have enough gold to sell and level because I'm holding those 2 Kaisas. So I just leveled this turn because I'm 24 HP, right? If I take one more bad loss, I'm very easily bought for, right? Look at how the game panned out, right? We haven't really been losing aggressively, but we haven't been winning aggressively either. And stage 2 was a little bit of a shit show. And everybody's HP is really close. Like I'm 24, this guy's 10, this guy's 40, this guy's 45, right? The only guy that's really in ahead is this guy who giga hit on the Kaisa board, right? And 3 people are already dead. So it comes down to a lot of like matchmaking in a sense, because there's some people that I can easily beat. Like look at this guy, he has 7 faded with a Felios 3 Thresh 3, right? The way you should always look at it is like, think of this Garen like a Yone or like something of that level, right? Is this Garen as strong as an Aphelios 3? Probably not. The Aphelios 3 costs like 3 times as much as the Garen 3. The Aphelios 3 should be in essence stronger. So then is the rest of my board strong enough to beat the board? I don't know, right? It's really close. This is against a clone, so that's why it looked a lot closer than it was. And this guy died, right? If I didn't level there, maybe I lose against the clone, then I'm 1 HP less. It just worked out that this guy that was 10 HP is also really weak. So yeah, we take those, we win, right? So we're top 4, right? I don't see myself getting much higher than 4th here. Even if I hit like a set 2, right? Like there's not much I can hit here that's gonna make me like fucking insanely strong. Just because I don't really have like a backline carry, right? If I had Kaisa items, I can play like 2 trick shot here and play Kaisa, and like there's some options there. I never hit the Kaisa items. These items I like were the only ones I could have made towards Kaisa, but if you look at them, what could I really make? Like besides a guard breaker, there's not really a Kaisa item to be made there. It just didn't work out, right? If I'm not playing Kaisa carry, maybe you could play like an AP carry, because I could have made like blue buff and something else. But once again, what do I make? I make blue buff guard breaker, and then I have like 2 chainmails, right? It's like I didn't really have the sauce. So I just get like railed here, and I'll probably get railed in the next fight. And yeah, so that's how it just turns out to be a 4th, right? And that's fine. That's what happens usually with these 1-cost rerolls. Unless you giga high roll, you usually get stuck at a slightly lower level that you're behind tempo later, and I just didn't hit like the giga board. Now, is the Warden variation, I think I like the Story Weaver variation better than the Warden variation, because at least with the Story Weaver variation, you have this Kale as a carry to rely on, right? I ended up using the Kale mostly because I just didn't have items to make another carry, because I prioed all my items on this Garen, which is a 1-cost unit. So the 1-cost unit is obviously going to fall off late game, unless it's like Kabuko, because for some reason they fucking overbuff that shit. But I digress. Right, and my other options were I could stay a lower level and go for like 3-star Zyra, 3-star Zoe, or something like that. But the problem is, the more you roll on lower levels, if you miss, you're a lot worse off, right? Here at least I have this set, which is doing some stun and doing some additional stuff, right? Like maybe I can fit in like Dragon Lords or something else. You have options of like the higher quality units, and that's really important in some of the placements, right? I never hit set 2 because, you know, life is life. But if I had set 2, I think some of the fights might even be a lot closer earlier on. But anyways, hopefully this was an informative and fun video. Like I said, always play it from a good spot. I started the game with like 6 Garens, right? Like 3 from the Augment and 3 on my own. So it was a very good Garen spot to play. But like I said, if I was in any spot less than what I was, I'm going like dead last, right? So obviously make sure that when you take these augments, you have a good spot for them, especially. That's all. Thank you for everybody that's watching, and see you next time.